think that we should probably go ahead and get started. And so, Alec and Thomas, thank you very much for coming. And this is going to be a public meeting to discuss 3 changes to our urban service. And 2 of those changes are somewhat minor, and one of the changes is significant. So the significant change is the potential elimination of the Essex Circulator, which is the number 4, that forms a loop that connects the town of Essex with Essex Junction and travels from Five Corners to Essex Experience, down Sand Hill to River Road, and then back to Five Corners. And there's the potential that this service could be eliminated in August of 2026. So in a few months. The other changes are, number 1, we're going to be taking over from the Burlington location all of the routes of the number 86, which is the Montpelier link between Montpelier and Burlington. Previously, that service had been shared between GMT's Burlington location and its Berlin location, but with the rural transfers happening and our Berlin service going to Tri-Valley Transit, we will be operating all of that service out of Burlington. That's going to require us to adjust the schedules, and we want public input on those schedules. And then lastly, this is a great place to meet to discuss changes to the number 5. The number 5 goes right by here on Pine Street when it's going outbound. And what we are going to be looking at is having its route when it comes back inbound, spend more time on the Champlain Parkway so that it will come to this light here and to the lakeside. So that will spend more time on Champlain than it currently does. And the purpose for that is to increase access to human services, offices on Lakeside, and the Social Security Administration office on Lakeside. Those had recently moved, and we want to improve access to them. And so those are the 3 items that we're taking comment for tonight. And so Alec, we'll get started with you and let us know what you're thinking about those.
Yes, I'm just thinking about how these routes, of how these will change, whether if they're gonna, stop these routes. It's something I don't exactly want to see. Like 86, I take once a month to the Waterbury Park and ride to get to an Everbus, and then Route 4 is that's something I usually don't take, but there's a small possibility I might even move there at some point. But I'm not sure. Route 5, well, I mean, I don't take that one either, but I would just like to know what the routing changes would be.
Okay. And so what I'm going to let you know is that we're definitely not looking at ending the 86 service. And so we see that happening. Are continuing to happen. Similar with the 5. At this time, we're not looking at eliminating the 5. The 4 could be something that ends up stopped, though. And I'm going to let Chris, our planning director, Chris Damiani, talk about how the exact way the number 5 would be changed.
Yeah. So the number 5. So the number 5, right now the bus goes down Pine Street, loops around on Home Ave and Champlain Parkway, and comes back up the Parkway over to Flynn, and then just travels back on Pine Street in its current form. And so with the change that we're proposing, the number 5 would continue up the Parkway, service stops over on the intersections of Champlain Parkway and Sears Lane, as well as a stop right out here in front of the Miller Center before continuing back downtown in its current routing. And the exact timing, we might adjust 1 or 2 minutes here or there, but the same number of trips would be provided.
Oh, so it's like, so I guess It doesn't serve the Parkway yet, but the changes that it will, is that?
It right now serves the Parkway all the way at the southern end of the Parkway, and we would just continue and use the entire length of the Parkway instead of servicing coming up north on Pine Street here.
Okay.
So folks might have to ride, if they don't want to walk over to the Parkway to head back to downtown Burlington, they could either choose to ride all the way around on the new route or walk over to the Parkway and access any of our bus stops there that we'll be putting.
Okay. So it's like, but is there any times when it's going to be reduced?
The number 5 right now, we're not looking at reducing any of the trips, so we continue to operate Monday to Friday as it currently is scheduled, as well as on Saturdays. And then the number 5 is combined into another route on Sundays with the 756 route.
Okay. And I still know that if number 6 is going to change like anytime soon, as I know that that's very similar to the Route 5 of where its location is.
So for the number 6, nothing is proposed to be changed. I will just note for the public that last summer we did implement a summer schedule on the routes 1, 2, 6, and 7, where we went to every 30 minutes. So we will be doing that again in this summer, which that schedule would start June 29th and last till about the end of August.
Okay.
Any other questions on the other routes, either the 4 or the 86?
I'm just thinking about the 86 so far.
Yeah, so for the 86, the one thing I would note, we are looking at some of the times of when that may be, but I would say some of the changes that we are looking at is maybe repurposing that midday trip to either service in the morning and afternoon, or have some sort of express trip where we're not servicing all the stops that go on a particular trip and maybe just service a few of them. But in terms of the number of runs, we would still have the same number of runs that we currently operate.
Yeah, like it's the 4 p.m. bus that I take.
Yeah, the 4 p.m. bus, I'll just tell you, is our most popular bus, so I do not foresee any changes with that particular.
Yeah, because that's the commuting bus pretty much. That's the commuting.
It's our most popular. It's a pretty full bus.
Yeah.
Is that number 4 leaving here or leaving Montpelier?
So we have a 420 that leaves Montpelier heading back to Burlington. It's about a 4, I forget the exact time, 4.
Once you have 6,
There we go.
back to Montpelier.
Yeah.
Alec, thank you so much. Any other comments that you'd like to make?
Let's see. Oh yeah, was it possible if some routes were to be reduced, they would go to another bus company?
So I don't think that it would go to another bus company. We are the provider in the urban area, and so that means that we're the only urban transit provider in the state, and so I just think that it would be very unlikely for other routes locally to go to another company. What would be more likely to happen in the future is having some of the longer distance commuter routes. Those could be transferred to other companies. So for example, the Middlebury Link is a service that GMT used to operate with Tri-Valley Transit, and now it's just Tri-Valley Transit operating. But I don't think that, at least in the foreseeable future, that there'll be any transfers to other companies right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, another question that I have is the bus company I take to get. The bus company I get to take out to more of these rural areas is RCT. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm keep on seeing that they still have free service.
That is correct.
So it's how would I know from when they were going to be resuming service again, and especially at these times of rising gas prices? Mm-hmm. It's like that could be pretty much expected of that they'll definitely bring the services back at soon.
Well, so RCT services are operating now without fare, and I don't expect that will change anytime soon. Yeah.
There is one, as I told you, that will change. Our Morrow Valley is charging first, starting July 1st.
Yeah.
So Marble Valley
Raleigh,
would be...
that's Rutland County.
Yeah, I know, so therefore RCT could come after.
RCT, well, I mean, as far as I know, RCT has always been free even before the pandemic. So
Yes, they were.
I don't, same the remover, so I don't, and advanced transit, so I don't exactly see that happening ever.
Well,
I don't exactly see them charging fares ever.
Well, actually, it was only free before the pandemic when they did transfers from the link.
You're talking about the US 2 St. Jay.
No, it's the Route 100 commuter.
Oh, we're 100. Oh, yeah, there was Phil. That makes sense.
That's what it was. They did charge for fares for a single ride with that.
That's because GMT did it at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that really there's probably only 2 locations that have high enough density to move people and to justify the fare revenue in the state. And that would be our urban system here and in Rutland's Marble Valley. And so I don't imagine that the rural systems will go through the cost of initiating fare collection because they would unlikely be able to have the cost of collecting fares be, it's going to be more than they would collect. Okay. Anything else, Alec?
That's it, I think.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. And Thomas, do you have anything that you wanted to? Yeah. And if you could just grab the microphone.
Yeah.
Son of a. Well, first of all, I'm on the GMT's Ridership Experience Access Consult. That's why I'm here just kind of. And I was hoping that there'd be more people that live around this area at this meeting because it indirectly impacts them less. Because it directly impacts me as much as it does them. It does them, and so you have to think. Something I have to think about for Pine Street circumstance is the circumstances. It's okay. Well, would moving the stops from Pine to Champlain Parkway be helpful or hurtful in this case? Right now, I just don't know because. It depends on the person, depends on how long the walk is, because those stops they currently serve. Let's see, between Champlain Elementary School what is it called? I said what are all these places over here? It's over here. It's in store New Orleans Tortilla. That's one. I just not sure the move is convenient for everybody. Plus, you have to keep in mind that the construction on 189, the extension 189 is going to be opening up in a few months, so this could mean we could end up seeing a lot more car traffic on Champlain Parkway now, and just this later this summer than we do right now. I mean, I know it's great that we have it, but just great that they have it. Just give it a heads up. The benefits there would be a benefit. That means people will be able to get closer to. We'll be able to get off closer to the Innovation Center Social Security Office and definitely benefits. But my concern would be how would we reach out to these people that, hey, listen, this stop is over here now. This stop is over here now. It's like, do you want to go to the outbound stop and go all the way around, or do you prefer to walk over? It's like. It was the latter. Like, okay, here's where it is right now. Yeah, okay, here's what it is. And obviously GMT doesn't do digital signage on their bus stops yet. So it might be great to have put a message on the stop, say, hey, starting effective June 29 or wherever you decide to start this change. Put the detailed information that this stuff is no longer being served. It's down on Champlain Parkway. This is where you can find it, and could probably have a little map with directions to get there, to get to that alternative stop accessibility issue. And I did want to talk about the link a bit because I just want to rehash something that I said last week about because I do take it from time to time, especially midday. The midday's got to stay. I express that out. Is that when I heard like months ago, like sometime the second half of 2025, there'd be transfer to Five Line Transit and Transit Link. I'm thinking, oh, and I found out on my own. TVT's website has a section, Washington County section on it. And so I'm thinking, oof. I'm thinking like, okay, what does this mean for the link? What does this mean for the link? Because there were 3 scenarios like in my head. Would it go to the same direction as Middlebury did and have it all run out of Montpelier to Tri-Valley? Would it still be split between the 2 agencies, similar to what the 116 did before 2024? Or would would it all be out of Burlington? And scenario 3 is the true scenario. But that would mean drastically having to change the run times because a scenario in my head. Because say they kept one of all the times exactly the same on from one direction, and the camera can see. Should be able to see the. It says say because right now the departures out of Burlington are in the 6:25, 7, and 7:50 in the morning, 1:20 afternoon for the midday, and then the 4:45, and 5:40 p.m. trips. If all that stayed the same, that would mean that 2 of the runs would be moved from out of Montpelier after 8 a.m., which might be too late for which might be beneficial for some, but for others it might be too late for some people because they wouldn't get to Burlington until after 9, close to 10 a.m. in the morning, and midday, 2:30 in the afternoon. That's pretty late for departure. I mean, you don't usually see a lot of people going to Burlington. Let's say taking the bus in the middle of the afternoon, 2:30. They're in if on the 5:10, the 6 o'clock departure would stay the same, but then there'd be some people would like this. That would mean that there would be a departure to Burlington at almost 7 p.m. and at 7 p.m. and there being anybody get out of work at 4 would have to wait till the 5:10 departure to go. Or say that's the opposite. All the departures out of Montpelier stay the same. Which right now are 5:50, 6:40, 7:30 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon, 4:20, and then PM 4:25, 10, 6 o'clock, as you know. Well, the 4 and 4:45 p.m. departure would stay the same in the evening. That would mean that the departures out of Burlington would be drastically earlier at 4:45, around possibly close to 6 a.m., 5:30 in the morning, 6:25 in the morning, and nothing after, no more after close to 6:30, and then very early 10:55 departure out of Burlington. That might be too early for some. Then 3:05. And then say a 3 p.m. departure out of Burlington. A 3 p.m. departure out of Burlington would call. So you have to choose times that work out of for everybody. The Franklin County commuter it does because of that time chase. Because they combine kind of the Milton and the Salem Lake combined into one run. Because of this, the 2 runs out in the morning are very early, 5:15, 6:50 in the morning. So the morning, and also the last departures out in the evenings are close to 7 p.m. The last one in the evening is close to 7 p.m., which may not get her. Obviously, it's not going to get much higher ridership, but at least it's there. It's just there for people to take. At least it's there for people to take to get back. That's that idea. But I guess I described much later than the current last Montpelier last bus from Montpelier to Burlington. There to Burlington. So I live in the junction, and although the number 2 is my favorite, my favorite. Okay, it's one of my favorites, but I take that all the time, and losing the 4 Essex would be somewhat of an issue because that means there would be some places on my own town I wouldn't be able to get to anymore. I also described in last
Can you
week's
say specifically what
Michael's
locations you wouldn't be able to get to? Could you tell me?
Past the Essex experience, like Market 32 into 32, like sometimes I wanted to bike to Jericho. I would take Essex Center to the closest stop, like right after Sand Hill, and go all the way to the rest of the west from there, even if it's going to have it going one way, or if it's 117 and want to pick up, and so I want to pick up, then, that's not, but that would not be available. And I also feel terrible for those people that live around those areas, because this is not the first, this is not the first time they proposed the number 4 getting eliminated, because when they were talking about the next gen changes in 2019, they proposed getting number 4, just having the 10 go to Essex outlets and back. They implemented it, but people were saying don't get rid of the 4. They didn't. They saved it back then, but we are in I realize we are in a much tougher time now.
Thomas, as always, thank you very much for your detailed remarks. Really appreciate your insights into the 86 timing and concern about location of the stops for changes to Pine Street, and letting folks know how to find their new spot, and letting us know where the 4 is, the spots on the 4 that you're not going to be able to have access to. So thank you so much, and I also thank you for serving on our REACT Council. Appreciate that. Yeah. And so, hi, I'm Clayton Clark. I'm the General Manager for Green Mountain Transit.
Clayton, nice to see you. We spoke via email. My name's John Gothier.
Oh, John.
I live right here in the south end of Burlington.
Excellent.
And I don't see, now that I'm looking, I think I'm looking at the proposed route for Pine Street. I don't have any objections to that, because it seems like you're just looping on the Parkway.
Correct.
Maybe going to your transit center and then heading back.
Yes, and so instead of getting back to Pine Street, on what street are we currently? Is it Flynn?
Flynn Avenue.
Yeah, and so instead of going back to Pine Street on Flynn, we would be doing it right here on Lakeside. And so that does create a longer area where it's a circle, and that does lead to some concerns, as we heard from Thomas about folks finding the new stop. But we're hoping that the easier access to
The Innovation Center.
the Innovation Center, HULA, and the Social Security Office, Human Services Office, the VA clinic, that would be helpful.
Thank you for that clarification. I also have a comment on Route 86.
Okay.
I am a state office worker at the state office complex. Recently, they've juggled us around so that the workers who are in state offices are not serviced by the actual building, kind of the backside of the Waterbury complex. We work at Pilgrim Park now.
Okay.
The whole department has been moved there. So I guess what I'm suggesting is that for that run, that stops be placed closer to the shopping centers, right? That signal that's at Main Street and Park Row. I think, I don't know if an entire route alignment is justified by the number of riders, but I think that if you're going to entice some of those people relocated to consider the service, having stops closer to their office building would be an aid.
And so Pilgrim Park is the complex that's like past the old Park Row sandwich shop?
Yes, across the railroad tracks, and most buildings are easy walk from
Okay.
that point, but not an easy walk from the other side of the state office complex. I hadn't noticed, I was listening to your comments, Thomas, I didn't notice that there was timing changes, so I'm going to take another closer look at that, and I know you're having a session at the Waterbury complex.
I'll be there on Wednesday.
Wednesday. I'm not sure I can make that, but I wanted to come here because I think having that one commuter ride where you're dropping off at the state workers is really constricting people. And of course, it's all up in the air anyway because the labor board is involved with the state's decision to send us back to work. But those things aside, I think if you do more than one, especially in the morning, you know, the people like to have the flexibility of reporting early, having maybe an 8.5-hour day. If you've implemented Wi-Fi on the buses, great. I can convince my boss maybe to let me count some of that time as work. And then, ramp it up to a 9-hour day. It makes our commute much more worthwhile for us.
Actually, there is Wi-Fi on the buses.
Yeah.
Just that sometimes they don't work half the time because there are so many things that are being used that are connected to the Wi-Fi, the tablets. Yep. So that's why I've had Wi-Fi difficulties on the buses. The speeds because websites and speeds, and having to turn off my cellular because that's the problem. There's so many people on it, and the tablets especially were taking up a lot of its use.
Well, I'm not new to this. I lived on Austin Drive, caught the bus many times into downtown to catch another bus for further transfer. I lived on North Avenue, and this is in the early 2000s to get to Montpelier. It's a really great service. I think it was $3 when I first came here one way. And your new system, I think, if you inform enough people at the state office complex, your potential is good because people don't like these $4.50 gas prices. I think that's the end of my comment, but I see people taking notes, and if we could at least add one more service for state workers where there's an actual stop, aside of the issue of where the stop is, but just getting on the complex, maybe that early run. And I think the first run is right after, for return is right after our offices let out at 4:30. So I think that's neither here nor there. I think people are ready to leave after 9 hours.
I'll just share, we've gotten a lot of survey response, about 70 responses on the link in particular, and I'm glad that you mentioned the more flexibility in the morning, at least from the state complex. I would say that matches a lot of what we've heard from other folks as well. Folks at the end of the day are pretty ready to go at the times that they normally go, but in the morning certainly are looking for more flexibility.
John, which department got thrown across the street?
Department of Vermont Health Access.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the whole idea was to bring everyone back
Together.
into the fold, and now we're shunted in 3 different office locations.
Oh, goodness.
Pilgrim Park. But, we're making the best of it, and, knock on wood, there'll be some other solutions in the future.
I did want to give some feedback on the bump. So there seems to be some inconsistency in trying to get to on that 421 because it maps out. It's mapped out on Transit app. The bus exits on exit 58 or exit 9, mod point 58, and then takes US 2 to the offices. But one time I was on it, they skipped it entirely, got off exit 10 or mod point 63 and had to go all the way over and down. So there's a little bit inconsistency. There's a little bit inconsistency in that too. It's like, okay, where's the supposed to go? Are they supposed to go to 9? Supposed to go to 10? Like, what the heck?
So, John, I think that you had said something about looking at the schedule, and I hope that if you do and see anything that you want to pass on, that you'll email our planning email with thoughts on the 86 schedule.
I sure will, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Do you usually have a summary of what these proposed changes are?
There's the summary online. There isn't an exact proposed schedule just because this is a pretty big change for us in terms of having one operations team sort of do this route. And so we're using a lot of the survey results and sort of where folks are currently riding on those 7 trips right now to figure out what the best schedule would be.
And are we planning on having the board approve the specific schedule on next week, or?
That is the hope for them to approve a
Okay.
sort of service structure. There might be some tweaks as we go through internal changes, but
Yeah. Okay. So we should have for John and others.
Correct.
A schedule pretty soon.
yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have, this schedule goes into effect June 29th. We'll have another one in August, so we'll be able to, if we get something wrong in this schedule, we'll be able to address it a lot quicker than we usually
Yes.
have in terms of when we change our schedules.
Understood.
It's usually be the middle of June, middle of June, June 15, but because of the fiscal year, but it would not be fair to start these changes before fiscal year begins, right? But weeks before fiscal year begins, because it's July 1st, so it makes sense to start it the Monday, the closest, if can't do it on July 1st, Wednesday, then a couple days, the Monday before.
Because our Washington County service is going to Tri-Valley Transit, and so we will soon be an urban-only transit agency again. Alec, anything else come up, since we first heard from you? Any last thoughts?
Oh, wait, when you just said that you'd be an all-urban transit agency again, does that mean, but does that necessarily mean like the Montpelier link or St. Albans link?
We will still be doing that, and, because it will connect to the urban system, and so we just consider it part of our urban
so that's
transit.
included then?
Yeah, yeah.
CCTA was urban only up until 2003 when in 2003 GMTA, which was the old Franklin County and Washington County service. My service was separate, although the Montpelier link started at that time too. So this is going to be the first time that CCTA is urban only since the link has started and the Montpelier link started. So that's going to be that's going to be an interesting challenge.
Yes, it is. Thomas, any last comments from you before we wrap up? Anything else?
I'm just curious. It's like, would you rather have like would you like rather thinking about possibly having two buses at the Marjorie complex in the morning or afternoon, or one or both?
I think any trip in the morning that can swing by earlier is what I'm talking about. Yeah, so 2 trips.
And Chris, you're saying that we are, the feedback is kind of consistent, that flexibility seems to be more important in the morning than
That's
the
correct.
afternoon?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Well, you have a new survey, and I haven't taken that yet, so I'll look
I was going to give a little plug at the end. So if you go to ridegmt.com/public meetings, we have a link to the document that talks about all 3 of the route changes. It has a link to all of the surveys as well. And then we have one more public meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock, but a hybrid at noon at the GMT headquarters or via Zoom. And then staff will also be at the Waterbury State Office Complex on Wednesday from 12 to 2 in the lobby. Tell your friends.
Yes.
Okay. Flash email to everyone. Donald True already did
Tomorrow
that.
is the one we just mentioned today about the 3 routes specifically?
Exactly, the exact same. Yep, it's just our 3rd opportunity for another in-person conversation like this.
Yeah. Well, I miss working at the complex, and it sounds like maybe you miss working at the complex too, now that you're over in...
It's nice to see people I haven't seen in months. It's actually a good experience to run into people in the hallways and have those kinds of water cooler conversations.
Yeah.
I'm not totally for it. I think it was just implemented, not totally against what the governor's proposal was. It's just implemented in kind of a fast and they didn't think about it through, I don't think.
I think that they should have listened to John Berard.
Oh, well, he's got his own opinions.
He does. And so I think that this will finish up our public meeting, and thank you all for coming out and sharing your time with us and sharing your thoughts. And we will consider everything that was mentioned and try to do our best to make as many people as happy with our service as possible. And Charlie, thank you for covering us again.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.